Hi, everybody. This is Lori, and this is Inclusivity with a TEA podcast. And our podcast, if you haven't caught us before, is all about justice and equity and sustainable living and creating a sustainable future. And we like to have guests on who are really working towards that goal of creating a future where everyone thrives. Before we start and before I introduce the guest, I just want to remind you that our partners are Alliance for Sustainability and Black Iowa News. My two co-hosts, Dana and Leah, are not here today, but we'll be back in another week to do another interview. So today on our podcast, I'm going to read your name just so I don't completely butcher it. We have, of course, I can't see without my glasses. So today on our podcast, we have Haoxuan Gao. Is that close? Okay. And Haoxuan is here because she is an intern right now for the Alliance for Sustainability. We're really excited to have you here. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
So what I really want to do today is just find out a bit about you and then find out how you got to the Alliance, what your connection is there, and what the Alliance is doing. And then I really do want to know what your future plans are. So my first question for you is sort of, what's your background and how'd you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, for sure. So as you said, my name is Haoxuan, and right now I am a rising junior at McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota. I study English and sociology as my major and environmental studies as my minor. I'm originally from China, but I came to the US when I was 15 for high school. And yeah.
So you've been here since then?
Yes.
How was it to come to the US from China?
It's very different. It's like a big culture shock, actually. So, as much as people say, the different things between the US and China, you don't really know it until you experience it yourself. Yeah, from the way people talk to the things they like, the things they do, their habits, it's all different.
So what would you say were the biggest adjustments?
That is a good question. I guess for me is being independent because my parents didn't come with me. I was like living with a host family, and then now I'm living by myself. So there are just so many things I need to learn from the beginning, like how to do my taxes, for example.
Right. So a lot of cultural things.
Definitely.
Now, I hadn't said I was going to ask you this, but I want to ask you, with COVID going on and with some of the increased hatred in the United States and increased prejudice and more divides between people because of their different colors and their different races, how has that affected you being in the US?
Yeah, it's actually, I don't want to be negative, but
Yes.
it's getting hard because when I was in high school, I was sort of in this like enclosed bubble. But now, since I'm more, I guess like since I learned more, yes, about society, and then I learned how, people would just hate each other based on like myth or based on politics. And it's pretty heartbreaking, especially, with like more Asian hate and also the news about abortion. Yeah, it's making me rethink my decision to study in the US. But there are also a lot of positive parts.
So first of all, I want to say I'm really sorry about that. I'm sorry that you've had to face that. I am so glad you're here and I welcome you. And I think you would agree with me when I say our diversity is what actually makes us great. And without that, then the world can't go on. Like if we can't accept each other and take care of each other and recognize that you and I are, we're different ages, we're different races, we are, different cultures, and yet we could give each other blood if we were bleeding.
For
You know,
sure.
if I needed, right. I mean, if I needed rescuing, you could rescue me and I could rescue you. And we share so much more than these kind of ridiculous and random, in my opinion, divisions. The only reason they're the divisions is we were born in different places, and that's just kind of a random occurrence. And so I just want to say that I'm really glad you're here, and I'm so sorry that you came during this period where this is increasing. I'm also glad that you're recognizing it, because I think my guess is that part of your work with the Alliance, or part of the reason you want to work on a sustainable future, is the understanding that it's all interwoven. And if we don't take care of each other and the earth, that's it. Like, there isn't a future if we can't figure out how to love you and people who look different from me. If I can't figure that out, there really isn't a future.
Yeah.
And I think having people who are smart and engaged like you here matters. And so I'm glad you're here. And again, sorry you had to face that. You said there were also some really good things. So what are, just because we talked about the other, what are some of the things that you've noticed that are kind of good about being here?
Oh yeah. So I guess um I guess more like a creativity and free to learn what I want to learn. So I guess for me individually, I like humanities and social sciences, and it will be a little hard to focus on that in China. And here, you know, I can do those things. I can incorporate them together, and I can also make arts. And it's sort of like having more space for creativity and for innovation. And I think that's what we need for, like what you said, a more empathetic and understanding future.
Mhm. Well, and I think that is, again, for me, that is what makes us great, is that you can create art and think about how to take care of each other. And even if you're a scientist, you can also create art. And I think that creativity is what is going to save us. If we can cultivate that and allow people to express that while we learn that we're, again, you could give me blood if I was dying. If we're the same blood type, you could save my life. If we can get past the stupidness, the silly divisions, I think the creativity is what can save us.
For sure.
And I think that beautifully leads me into asking, well, two questions. I'm going to ask about you again first, because I'm very interested in sort of, how do you see your future? Like, what do you envision that being?
Wow, that is a big question. Are you asking like
gigantic question?
Are you asking more like a future career or like a life goal, like more general?
I am asking whatever you would like to answer.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, for my future, I definitely want to have a job where I can, you know, uh, I don't know, get paid, and also, that a job I really like. I want to be, like maybe a sociology professor. It might change, but I want to devote into what people are in society and how we can make good changes. Yeah, and I do want a comfortable life where that is a good question. I feel happy. It doesn't have to be like materially great, like fancy or anything, but just happy and relaxing, and yeah, don't need to worry about immediate threats, I guess.
Yep. Well, and what I love about that is that really fits our podcast well too, because our message is, this is hard right now, that there's a lot of stuff that we actually need to do. I need to see you as a human and not different from me. We need to accept each other. We need to take care of the earth. We need to do all those things, but we can do them joyfully. And in fact, we're going to do them better if we do them joyfully. So if I also enjoy this conversation with you and am having, this is one of the best parts of my day, right? So if I can fall into that and say, I like this, I'm doing it because I enjoy it, while I'm also trying to make the earth better, I think that's how we win. Like, that's how we succeed, is that you find a life that brings you incredible joy, and you continue working on the projects that make the world better.
I agree.
And I absolutely believe that you can do that. I don't have any doubt. And I look forward to finding out how that is, like what you decide to do with that, because I think there are lots of different ways. And I kind of like that you don't know exactly what you want to do right now. I think it's a nice place to be where you can kind of explore and say, these are the things I'm passionate about. So, how do I work that into a career that I love? And there are careers to love. I have the podcast, which I love. I'm a geriatric psychologist, which I love. I've done, talks on sustainable living, which I love. So it's definitely doable to have a life that supports you and that you find joy in and that makes the world better.
Yeah, that's great.
So that brings me to my next question for you then, which is you've been an intern at the Alliance for Sustainability. How did you get there? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I've been really interested in sustainability since I was in high school. So it all started during like a ninth grade environmental science class when they showed us this documentary called Men versus Ford. I don't know if you have heard of that.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, so it's basically about how Ford, the car company, they were like dumping toxic paint in I think in New Jersey, like a Native American place.
Yeah.
And then it was causing a lot of disease and cancer, and people were trying to fight back against this. So it makes me see, how corporations are so powerful, and then they can harm, individuals and people without power, and that just inspired me to work on this goal of what can I do to help.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was thinking of finding like an intern place in nonprofits because I think a nonprofit really fits my, I guess, like personality of uh like a small style, a very like person to person communication space where I can be useful and do a lot of different things. So yeah, that's why I got into the Alliance.
Mm-hmm. And what are you doing there? What do you do with them?
Yeah, I am doing a couple of different things. So we have the newsletter coming out every week. So I am currently writing and editing it along with two other individuals. So that has been great. I read a lot of different topics every day and then challenge myself by trying to like summarize it and condense them into different like short paragraphs for the audience. And I also work on the communication team, mainly doing like social media. So we turn our newsletter post into like short media posts for different audiences because Instagram is for like younger audience, as people say. And then I'm in the She Kindness business program. So we're giving presentations, hopefully in the future, to corporations on how they can be more green.
Very nice. Are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's very interesting and I think challenging too. There are different elements of each task that I always learn something new every day.
Oh, isn't that a lovely thing to learn something new every day?
Love it.
So how long will you be there?
Oh yeah, so I've been working since May, and then I will keep working until my school starts by the end of the August.
Okay. Wonderful. And anything else that's going on in the Alliance that you would like to tell people about? So for example, I would like to know if someone wants to check out the Alliance. We will post the website underneath you when we're posting, but can you say it out loud for people who are listening?
Yeah, sure. So I think for my part of the job, I get to see the newsletter the most. So I would say that we have a lot of creativity in the newsletter. We not only have what you think conventional sustainability, like the planet, the trees. We also have a variety of social justice things.
Yeah.
For example, I wrote a piece of article on a couple of Black farmers who are doing really good sustainability farming. And then we also have humor. We have like a little bit of like a comic on the page and people can check out. And we have What to Watch, which is a fun documentary for people.
if they like to see. Nice. It sounds fantastic. And so the website is actually www.afors.org. Is that right? I think so, yeah. Okay. So please check that out if you're listening. And the last thing I would like to ask you is there anything that you can say that sort of in a short snippet, something you'd like people to walk away with, something you'd like people to consider, sort of something thought-provoking or a philosophy that you'd like to share, something you'd like to impart on our audience before you leave? For sure, yeah. So it's definitely going to be sustainability related because I'm so passionate about it. So when people think of sustainability, of course, they all think of, recycling, don't use plastic straws. These are oh so great. Yeah, we can do that. We can contribute our individual actions to help with the planet for sure. But we also need to be mindful that, there are huge corporations that contribute so much more than what we can save. So if you accidentally use a plastic straw today, just don't be guilty about it. It's fine. I mean, you're trying your best, but maybe actions like voting, like writing a petition, things like that will address corporate greenwashing. Things like that will also contribute greatly to the planet. So it sounds like your message is care about what you're doing individually and be proud of yourself if you're working towards creating a more sustainable life for yourself, while recognizing that you can't do everything, you can't be perfect, and that what you can do also that may be probably more impactful even is hold some corporations accountable, do your research so that you're paying attention, and vote. Does that sound like the message? Absolutely. And I think that's sort of our message too, is that we want to know what individuals are doing. We want to celebrate that and talk about how it matters. And for me, it matters because the more I do myself individually, the more I want to hold corporations accountable, because I notice that, okay, I'm not using a straw. So now you better do your part, because I'm maybe giving up meat, or I'm doing something that is a little harder. I'm turning my air conditioner up more. So I'm taking the steps that I can take. I'm driving less. I'm taking the steps that I can take. Now I want to hold corporations accountable because I want to be part of that wave that changes things. I do just want to mention for a moment, since this is taped about 2 weeks before it comes out, and we just had the Democrats step back on the climate action plan. And so I do just want to mention that one of the things that I think you and I would both agree on is that we have to hold our elected officials accountable, and we have to take this seriously. It's the hottest summer on record around the world. If this is not enough of a message, we're losing ice shelves at an alarming rate. So much is happening, and we're at the moment, and tell me if you agree with this, that we're at the moment where it's now. If we don't make changes now, we can't make changes. Exactly. And so I think a good message to leave everybody with is pay attention to what's going on politically, and pay attention to whatever your issues are, whatever the things that are most important to you. If we don't change the way the world is, if we don't do something about climate change, it's not going to really matter what your other issues are. There's a point of no return, and elected officials are pretending there isn't. Yeah. And how does that? I'm curious how does that reflect in China? Like, what does that look like in China? Because we know what it looks like in the United States. Do you know? I would say it's pretty opaque. I don't think it's very like what I said, it's not up to a lot of citizens to decide. You kind of just go along with what the government says. And I think they are making good progress in terms of sustainability. But again, there are so many pollutions and corporations doing bad things to it. So
Yeah, hopefully they will also realize that we need to go on to a more sustainable direction, that, we can't let this happen anymore.
Yeah, that's, and what I like about what you just said is that you said that government and corporations are not the same thing. And so to remember that even if the government steps up and is doing what it can, which the United States government is not right now, but even if it does make those choices and we vote in people who can do that, we still also need to start holding corporations responsible. And that really does mean thinking about what you buy and
Yeah.
and and sending letters, because letters to corporations saying, I want you to do this matter, they actually do make an impact on their what they're thinking, what they're planning. So say something.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you extremely, Haoxuan, is that right? Okay. I want to thank you, Haoxuan, so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope I get to talk to you again. And it's just so lovely. And I look forward to your life and you creating something wonderful for yourself and for the world. And everybody, this is Alliance. This is not Alliance for Sustainability. This is Inclusivity with a TEA podcast. And I'm Lori, one of the hosts. And this is our guest. I said your name and then I forgot it. And of course, I can't read because my glasses are off. Haoxuan Gao. Is that okay? Haoxuan Gao, thank you so much. And Haoxuan works for the Alliance right now and then is going to go on to do other amazing things in her life. We want to thank the Alliance for Sustainability and Black Iowa News, who are our partners. And Leah and Dana will be back with other interviews in the coming weeks. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.